This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. Got a question off the YouTubes from Mitch Carlson about how to train fighters. He wants to know if I ever trained with Kevin Randleman. It's actually a very random question. No, I have not ever trained with Kevin Randleman, but the guy's a savage. But you want to know how to train for MMA, wrestling, grappling, fighting, and so on. The way that you would train for that would be the same way that you would train for anything else. I am not a believer in sports-specific training. I think it's a farce. I think it's delusional at best, and I don't think it's the best way to think about training. I think you lift weights, and then you go play your sport. You lift weights, you make your body stronger, and then you go play your sport. And furthermore, on that same note, on that same token, you get great athletes to do anything, any sort of training, and it puts them that much further ahead of everybody else. They're already far ahead of everybody else. By the way, that's Bistro 33 in the background here in Davis. I just bought it today. Got to do some cleanup work in the kitchen a little bit, but it should be ready to go in a couple weeks. You guys don't know if I'm kidding or not. That's the funny part about doing the Power Project. You guys never know if I'm serious. Anyway, I'm a firm believer in you lift weights, make your body stronger, and then go play your sport. You sometimes hear people say, "Oh, you'll never get into that. Why bother bench pressing? You'll never get into that position on a football field," or something asinine like that. And you're like, "Well, I don't remember squatting anybody on a football field either." You're never in a squat position necessarily either. You kind of maybe are in a high squat when you're standing in kind of like a linebacker type position. You're kind of like in a stiff leg deadlift type thing when you're in a 3-point stance, but even that doesn't necessarily correlate. Make your body stronger, turn yourself into a badass mofo, and you'll be able to drop some people on their heads regardless. There are certain exercises that kind of lend themselves to be greater for one sport versus another, but I don't. In the grand scheme of things, I don't really think it matters. And I'll say something that's a little blasphemous here. Again, kind of pointing out to great athletes when you're talking about great football players. These guys are the cream of the crop, man. A lot of these guys don't even start lifting weights until they get to the pros. They get to the pros and they're like, you know what? Maybe I should start lifting weights because I heard that like Jerry Rice did, and I heard that Walter Payton used to run hills and things like that. A lot of these guys could get some great benefits just from going into a gym and doing things like step-ups and leg presses and using a lot of machines. I know it sounds insane, but you got to keep in mind a lot of these guys are like amateur lifters. They're professional athletes, but they're kind of amateur in terms of their lifting age in the gym. And so for them to go in the gym and do 3 sets of 10 of a bicep curl, 3 sets of 10 and bent over row, 3 sets of 10 a stiff leg deadlift, 3 sets of 10 of like a leg press, like that's a pretty good workout for some of these guys. I remember a couple years back, Tiki Barber was doing, he was trained by a power lifter slash strongman type guy, and they had him doing Turkish get-ups. They had him doing a movement, called Turkish get-ups. Some of you are familiar with it, I'm sure. They also had him doing some other movements, and they were saying how they were functional and this and that. It caused a huge debate. Huge debate. People were going crazy about, if he was doing them properly and all this kind of stuff. And then they showed him doing a safety squat bar squat off a bench. And while he's doing his safety squat bar squat, he's holding on to the rack. So he does a high squat while holding on to the rack. And people were just up in arms about it. It was kind of amazing at how angry people got about this lift. But you got to realize that's Tiki Barber, man. That guy's unbelievable. He was his gene pool is just insane. He's better than us. He's better than 99.9% of the population. And for him to go in and do any exercise is going to make him much better than the rest. Than even of the couple percent of the guys that that are already playing football. If he's just getting in the gym and just working hard, that's a huge thing. So sports-specific stuff, not a fan of it. Get in the gym, train hard, get your body stronger. Use some of the basic moves that have been utilized for years and years. But also, if you're an athlete that's doing a lot of different things, if you're a fighter, you got a lot of things to worry about. So the amount of exercise that you're going to do, the amount of soreness you're going to be able to handle is going to be very limited. I would say, you're going to benefit from 3 to 5 exercises, maybe about 3 times a week. That's not that much training, really. That's 9 to 15 exercises for the entire week. That's not a lot. But I just don't think a lot of these guys need that. Now, if it's a guy earlier in his career and he's a younger guy, he might have to spend some time, getting his body a little stronger and doing some different things before he even really decides to push the fighting. But in the case of someone like Kevin Randleman, you guys ever seen Kevin Randleman? He's about he's got to be at least 220. Guy's shredded. Guy's unbelievable. He's just kind of a freak of nature. So I know that some of this stuff I just said kind of goes against the grain and it goes against some of the conventional wisdom out there. But I think that sport-specific training, in short, is stupid. And if you're following me, if you're following the Power Project, if you're following the Power Project Army, you are following the leader. And that is it from supertraining.tv. Later.